What is up, guys and gals? My name is Schematicles, and for our different thing this weekend, we're going to be playing a little bit of a relatively new flight simulator, and that's X-Plane 11. Sorry if you guys can hear, I'm a little bit congested. I've got a little bit of a head cold, so just bear with me on that. But anyway, since I've been gone for a while, we're going to do our different thing for the weekend, so we'll actually have two videos today. And this one is going to be a flight from San Diego International Airport up to LAX, very busy airspace in this nice Boeing 737-800. And I've seen quite a few X-Plane videos coming out, but I haven't seen anybody do a GPS kind of tutorial, if you will. So I'm going to attempt to do a very loose version of that and just kind of show you guys how to program a flight path like the pros do. So using RNAV or RMP GPS, it's all the same thing. Basically, we're going to program a bunch of waypoints into the flight management computer, and the airplane's going to more or less fly itself. Okay, so I'm using a few resources here to do this. The first of which is a website called FlightAware, and FlightAware is basically, it's a sort of an archival, I don't really know what you want to call it. It's a library of real-world flights that lists exactly what waypoints are flown from city to city. So you go on there and you type in your departing airport and your arrival airport, and it'll bring up recent real-world flights. So the flight we're going to be doing today has actually been flown recently in the real world. I'm not going to be using ATC or anything today because I haven't really figured that out in X-Plane 11. So there's that. The second resource that I'm going to be using is something called Navigraph, which is basically it's a chart, aerial chart service provided by, I think it's a subsidiary of like Lufthansa Airlines, and it's pretty cool. It basically is going to show us all the waypoints that we're about to type in real time. I'm not going to pull that up here, but I'll kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm using it for as I go through this. Okay, so first few things we want to handle, we want to go ahead and pull up our flight management computer. I'll put that right in the center there. Okay, so I'm going to do two things at first. The first of which is I'm going to go into the flight plan, okay? And we can see up here we have an origin and a destination point. So right now we're at San Diego, so we can clear this, and we'll type in KSAN, which is the ICAO code for San Diego. And then for the destination, we're going to type in KLAX, which is Los Angeles International. And then what we can do is we can come down here to the departures and arrivals, okay? And this is where we're going to type in our SID, or our standard instrument departure, which is something that I get from FlightAware, okay? So we're going to be taking the Pebble 6 departure. Oh, sorry, got to type in the active runway first. So we're going to take off from runway 27, and we're going to depart via the Pebble 6 SID, okay, with the SLI transition. And all of this information is actually given to us by FlightAware when we type in our route. Okay, so we can send that to the flight plan. And if we look at that, we're basically going to do Pebble 6, which is the SID, to the waypoint Pebble. And then from there, we're going to fly via the SLI airway to the point SLI. Okay. So a few extra things that we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to manually type in the remainder of the route that's given to us by FlightAware. So Pebble 6 departure to Pebble, and then we're going to be at SLI at flight level 10, and then we are going to proceed direct to some weird named place. Let me see if I can type this in right. Having trouble reading my own handwriting here. That might be incorrect. Okay. Let me try that again. I think it's actually that. No? Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so it should be Sivu, like that. Okay, so there's that waypoint. and we're going to be at 10,000 feet again there. And then from Sivu, we're going to go direct to MERCE, M-E-R-C-E. And that'll get us close enough to where we can start worrying about our approach into LAX. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and execute this here, and then when I hit execute, you guys saw the flight plan actually pop up on the MFD over here. So what I'm going to do is go into legs, and I'm going to make sure first off that there aren't any discontinuities in the route. So we're going to be doing runway 27 again. Okay, so this is all the Pebble 6 standard instrument departure. That's how all this information got here. Then we're going to fly direct to Sivu and then direct to MERCE. Okay, and it tells us the distance along each one of these legs. Okay, so everything looks good here. We'll worry about shooting the approach once we're up in the air. Not something we're going to worry about down here on the ground. The last thing that I'll do here is I'll come up here to the map control and switch that over to this plan view right here. And we will check each one of these legs. You see now that I've switched to plan, there's this step function down here. So this is where we are currently, runway 27, or we're getting ready to taxi. We're going to go there, there, and there's kind of a weird point right there at MERCE. So let's see, what can we do? Oh, that's Sivu. Okay, so Sivu is going to swing us out on our route somewhere we don't really want to go, so we can actually delete this point. This is a good little example. You have to actually delete from the flight plan menu here. Let's see. Next page. Alright, so we can delete Sivu and see how that changes our route once we execute that. Okay, so now we go back to legs, and we'll just go ahead and start this process over. Here we are. Okay, here's the SID. Okay, there's SLI, and then we're going to go direct to MERCE, which is pretty much straight on that same heading, and that will set us up for our final. So you need to check the route always on the MFD after you type it into the FMC, just to make sure that everything looks good. Sometimes points will be wrong, even on points that you get off of FlightAware. You have to be conscious of what you're doing, and sometimes there is a reason that those points were flown. Maybe there was a lot of traffic and they had to kind of route the aircraft out and back so that it could clear out at LAX. Okay, so everything looks good here. So we'll worry about that arrival in a little bit. So let's go ahead and get to taxiing. We're sitting right here on the kind of, I don't really know how you want to describe it, but it's the taxiway. I think it's the commuter gate 1 or something, right next to the runway. There's only one runway at San Diego, so that makes our life easy in terms of where we got to taxi to. Alright, so we're going to taxi to the right here, go all the way down, and then we'll be set to take off from 27 right. I'm going to go ahead and hold short here, check for traffic. Again, I'm not actually using ATC, but if I were using ATC, they'd be telling me to hold short or to depart via taxiway, whatever taxiway this is, etc. And they would also be giving me traffic warnings as well. And I am pretty much 100% positive I'm about to do about 1 million things wrong. So if there are any actual airliner pilots watching this, I'm sure that they're gonna cringe, but this is just kind of what I've come to understand. I'm not a pilot in real life or anything, just kind of a dude doing my best in a sim, so keep that in mind. But hopefully you guys kind of get an idea as to what exactly is going on in the FMC. I've never seen anybody talk about it in X-Plane 11's kind of situation before, and it might be a little bit different than maybe in FSX or some other simulators, just because X-Plane 11 is relatively new. Okay, so a few things that we can go ahead and take care of. This is just kind of, I guess, almost housekeeping work. bookkeeping. We're going to go ahead and set up the autopilot so that once we get up in the air, all we have to do is engage it, and the airplane will pretty much fly itself. We'll make our speed 230 knots till we get a little higher, and then we'll speed up a little bit. Heading, we're going to fly runway heading, so 270 is fine. Altitude, go ahead and set this guy for cruise. We'll cruise at, I don't know, let's say 220 today. Okay, there's 220, and then we'll set our vertical speed. We might have to reset this actually once we take off. It's a little finicky, the autopilot sometimes. Set it for 2200. That'll give us 10 minutes time to climb. Okay, and one last thing that I have to do is I'm going to set my flaps to 1 for takeoff, so you can hear those coming out now. We'll hold short of the active here just to check for traffic. Like good pilots, not that it matters, because if there were traffic I'd still be pulling out since I'm not using ATC. I don't have any traffic, so let's go ahead, enter the active. I'm sure we'll get a TCAS alert or something as we're taking off. That would just be perfect. Hear that wheel screech. God. Been playing a lot of FSX and there's no wheel screech in that game, so it makes you feel really bad about your taxiing ability in X.11. Okay. We're getting there. Oh, there's a oh, he's a helicopter. He's just holding short there, chilling. So we're actually, I think this is like the no takeoff or no landing zone of the runway here. We're gonna take off from it. Again, like I said, my procedure here is not going to be even close to correct. But let's check everything over just briefly. Okay, so we got flaps set to take off. That's fine. Our route here for our RNAV is everything looks good there. Course we're not going to use. Auto throttle is armed. Speed 230. That's fine. 270, 220 at 2200 feet per second. So that's fine. We'll cut on the flight director. Engage the autopilot. So basically what we do when we take off is we're going to reach up here, set our vertical speed, our speed, and then we'll cut on the LNAV, which will fly the airplane for us, pretty much. Okay, so all that's left to do now is to take off. I guess technically we should have our taxi lights on, right? Okay, and we're going to check the pitot heat. Not expecting any icing, but we'll go ahead and cut this on. It's always better to have it on when you're flying, you know, reasonably high altitude. Okay, so everything's more or less good here. We're going to go ahead and take off. So the procedure for taking off, you basically want to increase the throttle up to about 50% in one, which means 50% of the maximum RPM of the, I think, the first compressor face. And it should smoothly increase. Everything's looking good there. Alright, let's go ahead and go full power here. So I'm going to keep an eye on my instrument. Oh, there's a TCAS alert. How about that? Taking off going the opposite way. Yeah, that's an incursion. I'm going to lose my license. Alright. So there's V1. I'm going to go ahead and rotate. Bring the nose up. Alright, positive rate, gear up. Flaps up. And now we're going to go ahead and set our vertical speed, and we'll fly approximately runway heading up to about 600 feet here. Need to raise that up, go up to 220 knots. Flaps up. Alright, and let's go ahead and fly the LNAV. So the airplane is more or less going to fly itself at this point, which is cool. So it's pretty much doing everything it needs to do. So there we are, taking off over San Diego. It's a beautiful day. Not really sure what time it is. It looks like it's probably, let's see, where's the sun at? Okay, so it's the evening. So the sunset's over there. So I'm not sure exactly how long this flight's going to be. I think about an hour. But it's relatively busy just because we're kind of constantly doing things since it's so short. Alright, so once we go through 3,000, I'll go ahead and set my speed for 250 knots up until 10,000. Get there a little quicker that way. We're going to LA, so should be fun. Okay, so that's that, and pretty much now we just kind of wait for a bit while the airplane flies itself. We're basically just here to make sure that it doesn't do anything weird. So kind of to talk to you guys about what I've been up to. I've been playing a lot of Flight Sim, trying to kind of learn how to navigate. I've already kind of learned how to fly everything. I guess you guys probably saw my Mustang video a couple months ago. So I can fly okay. My piloting skills aren't the best, but they're passable. So basically, now I'm just trying to learn how to navigate. So I've learned how to do kind of VHF navigation, which is like the old style. You fly basically like VOR to VOR. And now I'm kind of learning how to do RNAV, which is what we're doing here, which is honestly, it's a lot easier to do. You don't have to really pay attention. You just kind of check occasionally to make sure we're not veering wildly off course and that the route is correct. So I've been doing that. I've been playing a lot of PlayStation 4 actually. Final Fantasy 15 has been a real big thing for me. I've been playing Pokemon Sun and Moon and X-Plane 11, and that's pretty much all I've been doing video game wise. There's a little bit of a problem there because I can't capture currently PS4 or DS footage. So I'm working on a capture solution for that. I'm going to try and get probably a capture card for my PlayStation so that I can have like an HDMI pass through and record that way. But in terms of the DS, I'm just not seeing that happening anytime soon, just because it is very, very expensive to actually, what you have to do is you have to send your DS off to a company and they will actually install the capture card for you, and it costs about $200 just to ship your DS to them. If you actually want a DS that has the capture card installed already, it's like $600. So that's a little bit too rich for my taste right now, but we'll see. There's always a possibility that I could do that later on down the road, but the PS4 capture card is coming pretty soon, I'm thinking, just because I have been playing so much Final Fantasy 15. It'd be kind of cool to do that with you guys. Also, I think, what's that game called? Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's it. Comes out in February, I want to say, and that game looks awesome. Really excited for that, so I'll be doing that as well. Hopefully I can have a capture card by then and everything will be set for when that game releases. But let me know what you guys want to see. Again, the comments are greatly appreciated. I do read each and every one, so it'll kind of help me stay on track with the times, I guess. Alright, so let's check our map display here. Okay. Yep, still flying our standard instrument departure here. Alright, so I'll probably cruise at about 15,000, and that way we won't have to come down quite as rapidly when we have to descend. God, it takes forever to turn these knobs. If any of the X-Plane devs are watching, that's my biggest complaint with the beta. Just how long it takes to set those knobs. There's probably an easier way. Again, I'm no expert. Okay. So I was thinking about speeding this up, but I probably won't. I'll probably just upload the whole video. No edits. That's how I do, you know, au naturel. There's that California coastline. It's really cool. Actually flying the air routes kind of gets you an idea of geography, I guess. Alright, so we'll expect a beep at 14,000 that lets us know we're 1,000 feet from leveling off. Once we get up to 15,000, we'll set cruise thrust. So we can see down here on the FMC, we're about 5 nautical miles from Meldy, and then we'll complete the SID about at SLI. So that's, how far is that? 47 nautical miles, and then we're flying direct to Merce. Okay, so once we kind of get up here, what do we have to worry about? Well, we have to kind of communicate with ATC, figure out what landing we should expect. Okay, so we just hit 15,000. I'm going to set the cruise thrust up to 300. So we don't know yet. We would find out once we got closer to LAX airspace kind of what star to expect. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to fly to Merce, and then I will expect a certain ILS approach, and that means instrument landing system. So we'll actually switch over to the instrument landing system. Makes the airplane a little bit easier to land once we get within range of what's called the localizer, which is basically it's a radio that points out in one direction from the runway. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Normally you would do this via chart, but because I'm a scrub, I'm going to check the actual frequencies on the map here. Okay, so Merce is going to put us somewhere out here, and then we'll check. What is this? I think IOS is the ILS for 24 right. I think that's correct. So 108.5. So we'll actually tune the nav. Oh, it's already there. Convenient. Okay, so we don't have to do anything. We're already tuned to the nav frequency. So basically, we'll just fly the rest of the route to Merce, and then we'll set up the ILS once we're in range of that. Okay, so we're going to take a look here. Alright, so we just hit Pebble, so we're en route to SLI here. We want to go ahead and start descending. Merce, we have to hit that. I'm doing this via chart, by the way, which you can't see. But Merce, we need to be at flight level 4,000 when we hit Merce to be on glide slope. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set the altitude for 4,000. Note that we're still staying at 15,000 here, and we will until I switch over the vertical speed. Again, this takes a while, sorry about that. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're having a happy holidays thus far. Merry Christmas, all that stuff. I know I have. It's been very good, very relaxing. I know I spent some time away from YouTube, but it's coming back. I just needed a break just from a lot of things. Just very kind of tired, a little bit burnt out. Work's been crazy. I talk about that a little bit more in my BioShock Infinite video, I think on Thursday, Friday, I don't know. But anyway, it's been nuts, but I'm back. Regular videos are coming back up, so everything's fine. I'm not dead. I'm not dropping off the face of the earth or anything like that. Everything's fine. Okay, so about this descent here, we're going to have to drop 11,000 feet, and we're going to have to do it. Let's do it in 30 nautical miles. So I'm going to do a little bit of a calculation here on my phone. Let's see. Alright, so if we have 30 nautical miles, we'll divide that by our speed. So that's 0.12 hours. Multiply that by 60, 7.2 minutes. So if we want to do 11,000 at 7.2, that'll give us our descent rate, which is 1530 feet per minute. So that's fine. So we'll actually start this descent when there's 30 nautical miles remaining here. So basically when this thing hits 18, we'll go ahead and descend down to 4,000 at a rate of negative, we'll call it 1,500 feet per minute. So there's a little bit of navigating still required. The GPS doesn't make it super easy for you. I think there's probably a way to type in altitudes for the waypoints and stuff. I'm still kind of figuring all this out, so just doing my best. But I like shooting the approach myself. It gives me a little bit more control. And typically, when you're actually flying in real life, ATC is telling you what to do, so you're not actually going to hit your waypoints perfectly or anything like that. Let's go back to the circle view. Just look at how good this game looks. I'm not sponsored by X-Plane or anything, obviously, to say that. I just really, really like the way X-Plane 11 looks. That's actually why I've been playing X-Plane, even though it's a little buggy just because it's still in beta. It's so much prettier than FSX. It looks like FSX would look if you spent, you know, hundreds of dollars on mods, pay-aware mods. And the airplanes are great. There's some really cool ones. I'm not going to reveal any of that yet. I'll probably upload some more X-Plane 11 videos, depending on how this does. But there's really cool planes in that game. One of my favorites, actually my very favorite aircraft of all time, is in that game. So, okay, so we're actually a little bit late on starting this descent here because I was too busy being an idiot. Okay, so we'll go down negative 1600 here. And switch over to vertical speed. Whoops. That's what I'm talking about. The 737, I'm still not completely familiar with it. I'm better than I used to be. I'm mostly used to the A321 in FSX. That's what I've been flying the most. And we'll make our speed 250 for the descent here, since we're going to go through 10,000. And we'll tap the spoilers as well. And you'll see now when I go to the external view, we got spoilers deployed a little bit just to help us slow down. Watching that airspeed, that descent rate, everything's looking good. This is not LAX down here. We probably can't even see it yet. We might be getting close. Oh yeah, there it is. That's LAX out there, I think. We'll go ahead and lower the speed down just a little more. Go down to 230. Okay, we got 20 miles left in this descent, so everything's coming along well. Got plenty of space to do this. No big deal, just hanging out. Make sure we suck those spoilers up. Alright, so we'll go ahead and retract the spoilers. So we're maintaining 230, that's good. Healthy descent rate here. Everything's nominal. EGTs look good. We're tuned to the ILS frequency for 2-4 right. And we would be vectored to whatever runway, you know, in real life. Again, I just gotta spend some more time with X-Plane 11, learn how the ATC works. It's a little bit complicated every time you move to a new flight sim. And I'll probably stick with X-Plane 11 for the foreseeable future, just because it's so nice. It just looks so nice. Performance is actually really good for a Beta 2. I've got a GTX 980 overclock, factory overclock from ASUS, and it is performing well. I'm averaging like around 30 frames here, and I'm also recording at the same time, so keep that in mind. been thinking about upgrading the GPU, but I just, this is very playable, and it's still in beta, so it'll be optimized more. I think if I were to upgrade the GPU, I'd have to be building a whole new rig, because the 980 is still a killer card. It's actually the same chipset as the new 1070, so it's whatever I upgrade to, I'd have to upgrade to the 1080. I might wait for the 1080 Ti, which is inevitable. Okay, so we're through 10,000 here. Everything's coming along. I have so much stuff on my desk. I need to kind of figure out a better way to record flight sims, because I have a HOTAS, like a throttle and a stick, on the desk. I have a mic on the desk, keyboard, mouse, water bottles, notepad for the route and stuff. It's just too much. So I've been thinking about getting a new headset as well that has a decent USB mic, just so that I don't have to constantly kind of bump into my desk mic or lean my head over to talk into it. It'll probably not be as good a quality as the desk mic, but it makes life considerably easier for me. Okay, so we got about 5 nautical miles. We're doing fine here. Everything's good. We don't really have to be at 4,000 when we hit MERS, but it'll help. So there's LAX, way out there in the distance. Kind of zoom in. So this runway here is the one we're going to eventually land at. Okay, so we're coming in, about to hit our turn. Slow down a little bit more. Come down to 220. Tap the spoilers for just a sec. Help us slow down more. There's the turn onto MERS. And again, we're doing fine. Once we get through this turn, we'll go ahead and activate the VOR locator, and that'll line us up heading-wise for the runway. Once we get back to kind of wings level here. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and we still don't have the localizer established yet. Should be coming up any second now. To kind of hand fly this thing onto the localizer. We're still a bit out from where we'd like to be. I'm gonna go ahead and slow down to 180 here. Okay, I think we just acquired the loc. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Don't have the glide slope yet. Should start to move any second now. I think we came in too high. That's the problem. So we'll keep descending here. Activate the approach. Come down here. Alright, let's go ahead and slow down a bit more. Notch your flaps. We'll get the gear out. Tap the spoilers again. Alright, we need to be flying vertical speed down here. So we're still off glide slope by a fair amount, looks like. So this is a pretty crappy ILS approach on my part. It's not the airplane, it's just me. Slow down a bit more. Go ahead and make landing speed here. A little bit more flaps. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and disengage the autopilot and we'll fly the visual approach. The rest of the way in. Spoiler's still out. Add some more flaps. And it's looking like we're going to be way long here. Flight director should be off at this point. A little bit off.
Sync rate, sync
I
rate,
know,
sync
hush.
rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate.
Everything's
sync
fine,
rate,
guys, don't worry
sync
about it.
rate. Hold up. 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 Sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate.
Flare a little bit for the landing. Here we go. And we'll deploy the thrust reversers. Slowing down nicely. Brakes. Alright, 60 knots. Reversers off. Okay, flaps coming up. Alright, so not bad. That wasn't a great ILS approach by me there. We were actually too high when we came into that last waypoint by a fair amount, so we missed the glide slope and I had to come in really steep and kind of hand fly in the approach. If we had done that in real life, we would have been put into a holding pattern to bleed some more altitude so that we could establish on the localizer. We were established horizontally, but we never hit the glide slope, so we came in too high, which is fine. Traffic check. Hopefully we don't dork it here. Okay, we're good. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this one, even if my landing was a little bit crappy. It's something I really enjoy. It's kind of made me want to get my private pilot's license playing this, learning how to navigate. So, if you guys want to see a VHF kind of Cessna 172 type video, a little bit more old school navigation style stuff, let me know. If you guys want to see more 737 commercial airliner stuff, I know it can be a little bit boring, but I do enjoy it. Just let me know, and I'll probably be posting some pretty cool X-Plane 11 like one-time videos. I don't know if we're going to make a series out of it, but there are some pretty neat airplanes that I think I'd be remiss if I didn't show you guys. So that's it. We are here on the ramp in LAX. A little bit of a hairy approach, but I'm still a scrub, so you guys can blame me for that. Alright, and that's it. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please do comment on the video. Let me know what you guys would kind of like to see. And I will do my best to accommodate that. If you really enjoyed the video, get subscribed for more flight sim content, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace.